Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.
Good day, ladies and gents. I'm Emilio A. Colon.
And I am Marcus Mack, and this is the EAC Show coming to you live from sunny South Florida with episode 57.
Marcus Mack, big interview alert for the EAC Show. We're going to have Boston Red Sox pitcher Mike Schwerin on the show next episode. We're going to interview him, and it has just been released, Marcus Mack, that Major League Baseball will be played this season. Commissioner Rob Manfred, our friend.
Our good friend.
Our good friend, Commissioner Manfred, has imposed his commissioner power. The MLB, the players have voted no on, they turned down their proposal that the owners gave them. They turned that down. And now Commissioner Manfred has just laid down the law and said that a season will be played in 2020 under his imposed power that he has as commissioner. And it's probably going to be anywhere between 40 to 60 games, and that's it.
I mean, you know what it is, right? He pretty much said, yo, listen, it's time for me to put my foot down, pretty much. Because, you know, they made offers, they went back and forth. And he's like, all right, you know, it's time for this to end. Because for them to say, listen, you guys wanted 70 games, we don't want 70 games. We want to give you guys 60 games. We're meeting you guys on the half. We'll get you guys at 60 games. What do you say? Players Association say no deal. Rob Manfred, he exercises his right as the commissioner. He flexed his muscles. He said, you know what? 60 games, that's it. No more negotiating. That's it.
He's tired of it. I mean, the players are trying to do what's best for them, and we always side on the side of the players. So we're going to hear from Mike Schwerin tomorrow. Boston Red Sox pitcher is going to be on our next episode 58. Marcus Mack, I'm reading some of the stuff that was just released in the statement. Basically, they said they couldn't come to an agreement. They had some of the framework stuff worked out, but some of the other stuff was a little bit too difficult. Some of the benefits that MLB was offering, and I'm just going to read this off real quick, was the DH was going to be universal for the next 2 years, so pitchers were not going to hit. A guaranteed $25 million in playoff pools in 2020, $33 million in forgiveness salary advances that would increase that take-home pay of 61% of major league players, overall earning for all players of 104% of prorated salary, and over the last 2 days, MLB agreed to remove expanded postseason in 2021 in order to address players' concerns. So now, Marcus Mack, with the actual agreement that they had in place back in March, they're going to get 100% of their prorated salaries based on the amount of games. The commissioner is going to mandate anywhere between the 40 and 60 range that everybody's been talking about. But this is some of the stuff that they have to abide by because this is what they agreed to in March. It says that in the actual schedule that the players have 7 days to report to camp. 7 days. So wherever they are, they have to be back for spring training 2.0, quote unquote, within 7 days. The second is that they follow the actual manual that is written out in the pre-agreement that they had in March under the players' safety protocol. So whatever they had previously agreed to, that has to be followed to the T.
Which I'm quite sure the players have no problem with that part. I think the biggest thing with this whole negotiation process was the amount of games that was going to be played and the prorated salaries. That was probably the biggest thing. But it's time to go now.
I mean, Commissioner Manfred is definitely laying down the law. He's giving them till tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to respond to this mandate that 2020 MLB baseball will be played. Commissioner Manfred is enforcing his commissioner status, I guess you would sit there and say, and he's literally putting this on the players. He's forcing on the players based off of the bylaws of the MLB that he has the power to mandate a schedule between 40 and 60 games no matter what, regardless of whether they like it or not. Now it's up to the players to sit there and say, well, you know what? We're not going to come, you know? We're not going to come. We don't feel like it's worth it. We're not even going to show up.
You think so? You think that'll even happen?
I mean, the Players Association can do that. They can force a lockout, and the season can be utterly lost. But then you get into the litigation part of it, where you got lawsuits and grievances and this and that, and it just turns really, really ugly. Because baseball they will sit there and they will literally go to their minors, and they'll be like, all right, we'll just bring up all our minor leaguers, and then now you have a bigger fight because the minor leaguers don't have a Players Association, Marcus Mack. Only major league professionals do. There's no one representing the best interests of the minor leaguers in baseball. So maybe me and you can start the EAC Show union for minor leaguers. That way we can make some real bread, you know?
Yeah, we definitely gonna have to get some lawyers on the line for that one.
I mean, because in all honesty, like Sean Anderson said it in not this show, but the previous one, he said it. Minor leaguers need to get paid more money. They don't get paid bread. They don't really get paid that much money. They make hardly anything in the minor leagues, Marcus Mack.
I mean, they don't have nearly as long of a season as the major leagues, do they?
No, because they're trying to stretch them out or whatever it may be. But still, Marcus, I mean, who the hell could live off of like $400 a month? You know what I'm saying? Like, who could live off that?
I mean, nobody. Yeah. Nobody.
They're getting paid like migrant workers. You know what I'm saying? Like immigrant workers. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not even making real money.
Said minor leaguers are hitting the field and then right after going to their second job.
Absolutely. I mean, Trevor Bauer, we love Trevor Bauer on this show. Trevor Bauer came out and he literally went on another rant, basically just saying that he can't believe the position that Major League Baseball is literally taking the sport and just like they're just like diving it off a cliff, Marcus Mack. I'm trying to pull it up right now. I had it up and then for some reason it disappeared. But he's basically saying like, look, we had a lose-lose situation with this coronavirus thing. We literally had to take advantage and put baseball back on the map and try to get people on our side. And how did we go about making the situation worse?
Business.
I mean, I understand, Marcus. Business is an easy answer, but when are people going to start putting business aside and sit there and say, yo, what's best for the sport?
Because there's a lot of components. You know, they're already taking a loss. You know, we got to worry about the health of the players families, the money that's being generated that's paying the players, the money that's being generated to take care of those families. You know, these players still have to move around. We're still talking about a pandemic. There's a lot of moving parts. And I believe that the people in charge did the best thing that they can to make this thing happen and everybody could be happy. And everyone is not going to be happy to its fullest extent, but I'm quite sure they tried to make it to where everyone or all of the important parts was in place, no matter who was upset about it.
I 100% the minute that he enforces that and forces these players to play the season between 48 and 60 games, a grievance is going to be filed. If those players have to play that mandated schedule without coming to an agreement with Major League Baseball in some way, shape, or form, where both sides kind of like are meet in the middle, a grievance is going to be filed no matter what.
Yeah, well, you know, like we've said this over and over again, and I believe there's other sports platforms who said the same thing. It's like, man, these guys are just buying time. They killing time, so eventually just be like, okay, we're going off into the next season because they're still gonna make the money that they're supposed to make. You understand? Yeah. It's like, you know, I'm just happy to see that they came to some kind of agreement. It's not an agreement. They didn't agree to anything, but you know, 60 games, they was shooting for 70. You know, they were shooting for more than that, but you know, the main thing is, you know, they're getting their prorated salaries, 100%, and 60 games. Now they're missing out on a lot more games, but, you know, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen because we got to move past this season anyways. Time is
Marcus
just
Mack,
away.
I got to be honest with you. I'm always for the players, but I just feel like this is exactly what the owners wanted from the get-go.
Of course.
I mean, if you really think about it, Marcus Mack, originally, you know, the players were pushing for more games, and then the owners sat there and said, well, if you want more games, then you're gonna take a cut off of your prorated salaries. And the players were like, no, we're not doing that. And then they were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And they got to a point where they said, okay, we'll give you your prorated salary, which is something they already agreed to back in March, Marcus. This is something that was already agreed to back in March. Both sides agreed that 100% of prorated salaries were going to be paid.
So when MLB said, okay, we'll agree, 100% salaries, what came next. He said, all right, listen, here's the next move. Here's the next move, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to kill time because we can only fit but so many games in this space of time. So if they don't agree to what we want, don't worry about it.
It's not even chess because it's more like a bad con man, honestly. Because if you think about it, but Marcus, honestly, if you think about it, we agreed on a deal. We said my compensation is 100% of this number because this is happening. And you say yes and I say yes, right? We're both on the same page. Then all of a sudden you come to me and without giving me any specifics, because don't forget, the players asked them to open up the books. Show us that you're broke. Show us that you're not making as much money and we'll work with you. The owners decided not to do that. They just said that we were going to be hurting. So we need you guys to take a cut of your prorated salary. They blamed it on the fans not being there. Then they released a statement or they released information that they're doing $1 billion deal with Turner. You guys look dumb for releasing that. But anyway, back to the point I'm trying to make. All of a sudden now you're sitting there saying, okay, now we'll give you something that we already agreed to 3 months ago.
Right.
Like that's not a benefit. It's not an incentive.
No, I mean, but in times like this, something's got to give. Something's got to give. I'm definitely pro player too, but I'm pro business, and we gotta meet the bottom line. And the players that get paid, they won't get paid what they want to get paid because they won't play the amount of games that they normally play. They'll get the full amount of pay per game, but they won't play the full amount of games.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Marcus, this is gonna look really, really bad on the Players Association representative Tony Clark, because like I just reiterated to you, what did he really do to benefit the players? The players have already agreed on a prorated amount back in March. So what progress did you make since then?
He opened the gate and said, go ahead, go play, have fun.
Marcus, tomorrow I'm going to reach out before our interview for Wednesday's episode. I'm going to reach out to my source. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to get a statement from him. And I'm going to ask him that specific question. Did Tony Clark just take an L for the players? And I already know what his answer is going to be. His answer is going to be somewhere in the nature, he's horrible, he's the worst, he's not doing his job, he's not worth his money, blah, 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 blah.
I doubt that's going to be the reaction, because I think all of
Marcus, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
You don't think he did the best that he could have done?
I think he did the best that he could have done, but I don't think the best was going to get anything done, because if you really think about it, Marcus, where are we? We're nowhere, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Something was done.
You made suggestions, which is good, but what did you actually get written in stone? Nothing.
Well, very true. But what can you do when the person on the other side of the table refuses everything? And we know that the owners have that ace in the hole. Now, the ace in the hole for the players is pretty much not an ace in the hole. It's pretty much a Hail Mary. It's a cry for help. Okay, we'll just sit down. There'll be nothing.
But the players have to understand that that's your power. That is your power. Your power not to play. I'm gonna tell you right now. I love all the minor leaguers or whatever it may be, but I'm not paying $120 a year to watch a whole season of baseball to see minor leaguers that aren't ready to play on that highest level. We're talking about the highest level of baseball, Marcus Mack. We're talking about the highest level of players in the world playing the major leagues.
I think somebody got their point across, though.
No, the owners, in my opinion, the owners are gonna win.
Of course. We've been talking about this for a while, and the only thing we can come up with is why don't the owners just, at least meet the players on the half, because it's obvious they won't be able to play the full 148. It's like 140-something games.
162 games in total.
62 games, right? It's obvious. And what did they want? They said, I think it was 80 something games. First, it was 114 games.
But all of those games that were offered, Marcus, were offered with discounts on the prorated amount. If there was no discount and it was 100% of the prorated amount, they would be playing those games.
I'm going to tell you why I can't say. I'm not going to publicly speak on what Tony Clark would have done or should have done because I don't know the exact numbers. I am going to do my best to get the exact numbers. And I'm going to tell you, because I'm quite sure he could have came up with some better solution or projection. Because if the main thing was that the fans aren't in the seats, they said that was 40% of the revenue for the season, right?
And then they released the Turner $1 billion deal.
Right. So now we're talking about that's 40% of the season. So now let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's 62 games. Is that?
Yes.
62 games. So 40% of that is roughly 60 games, something like that. Roughly, just for the sake of argument, 40%, about 60 games, right? Let's just say we used to take that and just take off 60 games and say, listen, we're going to give you guys fully prorated salaries, your full salary. We're going to play 100 games. Let's do it this way, right? But there was never we're not talking about Adam Silver here, where he's pro player. We're talking about the MLB and Rob Manfred, who is pro business, right? So that's the reason why when I come to and I'm seeing what's going on, the first thing that's going to go through my mind is, okay, well, we came to something. Now let's move forward. No, it makes no sense. And it makes no sense saying, well, okay, I'm gonna just sit out, because now you're just holding up progress even more. There's been a decision that's been made. All right, cool. Let's just take it. But now we know. So now how are we going to play our hand moving forward? So now, Tony Clark, I challenge you, Marcus Smack of the EAC Show, I challenge you to set something up for these players in Major League Baseball to make something for the following year.
I'm going to tell you why he can't do it, and you just answered your own question for me, and I'm going to tell you how you answered your own question for me. You just said that Rob Manfred is not Adam Silver. Adam Silver's pro player, and he's the commissioner of basketball, but Rob Manfred is pro business.
Right.
Tony Clark is pro player, and he's not pro business. There goes the answer to the question.
So that means there's no way that he can. His job is to check the bottom line. His job is to make that agreement with them. Because okay, look, people are taking losses here. Not just the players, not just the owners. On both sides are taking losses as far as the monetary value
and risk.
Losses. Yes, and risk. Right. Well, no, I think the players are taking more risk than the owners.
Well, the owners are still taking the risk. It's just financials.
Financial risk, right? But the players are taking financial hits. They're taking possible health risks. We talking about their family because they're traveling with them as well. It's a bunch of different working parts. So it's like, listen, we have clear numbers, and you have given us a projection of what will be made, right? Let's make some kind of agreement that puts our players in a position where they don't feel like they're at a loss. It's like the owners own and we're just dogs, where we have no value. When that's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane. And even as a businessman, that's just like the difference between me owning a business and telling my employees, well, hey, listen, if you do this correctly, I'll give you an incentive, in opposed to giving punishments. Like, if you don't do this, then you'll lose this amount of money. Right. Employees will always be more inclined to do good for the business when there's incentives involved. And where on the other hand, they're more afraid because you're cracking the whip. All Rob Manfred did was show that he can crack the whip, and there's nothing that the players can do. He showed that, and now the players now they're looking like, oh, we at war now.
We're going to find out tomorrow. Tuesday at 5 p.m. is the deadline for them to figure out what they're going to end up doing. But Rob Manfred laid down the law and basically said, I am implementing a season for 2020. We're going to play Major League Baseball in some way, shape, or form, Marcus.
He definitely showed his behind. And it's like, okay, all right, here's a week. All right, grab me that mask and that glove right there. All right, come on, get your shit together. It's time for us. We got some work to put in. Because, listen, he cracked the whip. He cracked the whip. And now it's like, okay, so there's nothing we can do? Oh, so you're not going to look out for us at all? Oh, we have no value. Okay, because the war is on now. It's not just lay down and take this and it. Because if something like this was to happen again, in any way, shape, or form, the same thing is going to happen. And there is absolutely no empathy for the players. The players just want to play. No, they're not here every game risking injuries, risking this, risking that, and then in the middle of a pandemic, risking their health. You understand what I'm saying? For you
the well-being, yeah, of course.
For you to just say, you know what, man, F you.
Yeah,
this is what we're
much.
gonna do, and you're just going to have to eat sugar honey iced tea and beer.
Well, let me get to the promo real quick, Marcus Mack. This part of the show is brought to you by our sponsor, ElCubanoSandwichShop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a cafe con leche or natural pre-workout shot of that Cuban coffee to start your day. The daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's ElCubanoSandwichShop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC. And when you go there, you ask for the croquetas with the sauce and the jupina and tell them Marcus Mack sent you.
You call that the Mac combo.
The Mac combo. So Marcus, we're still gonna stick to a little bit of what COVID has been controlling the whole sports environment. But before we get into that, Marcus, I wanted to address this, and we almost forgot about this. We talked about this in the pre-show, and we almost forgot about this. Marcus, I know we talked about briefly about the UFC fighter and his corner man doing him dirty.
Right. I think in that particular situation, but just so everyone knows, those of you that don't know, the fighter's name is Max. Help me, Emilio.
Dude, Roetfloff, whatever.
Ruskov, right?
Ruskov, whatever.
Yeah, Ruskov, right. And he didn't want to fight anymore. It was over, and you can hear it. Him saying when they play back the video, he's saying, no, throw it in. It's over. Throw it in. I can't go anymore. And his corner man is pretty much saying, no, you got this. You're a champion. In his mind, in the corner man's mind, he's saying, I'm going to push you and you're going to do this. But at what point is enough is enough?
Let me explain something to you, Marcus Mack. I have a son. And if somebody did that to my child, I put my child's life in your hands. And my son is like, listen, I'm done. I can't. Like, it's finished. Like, repeatedly. It's not just once. Like, once is like, yo, come on, toughen up. Like, smack you in the back of your head. Let's go. Like, let's keep it moving. But Max said it repeatedly, about 9 times.
You can see his fatigue. You can see it's over. Like, I can't go anymore. And like, you see how you're your son's dad? His trainer should have that intimate relationship where I know, all right, I know when you can keep going. Right now, you can't keep going.
Like, we'll live. Like, your job is to make sure we live to fight another day. Like, your job is not to send him out there to die on his sword. That's not how this works.
No, it's not. The whole objective is to go out, fight your best fight, and then come back, keep training. So the next fight, you fight your best fight again, not go out there and die.
So do I have a problem with the Nevada State Athletic Commission probing an investigation on this cornerman? Absolutely not. This cornerman should be fined. He should be suspended. You did not have the well-being of your fighter at that moment, not necessarily throughout the whole of his career, because you were probably an amazing trainer and an amazing cornerman for that fighter, for Max. But at that moment, you were terrible. You were terrible. He repeatedly told you he didn't want to go out there. You were basically trying to push him like you were the one fighting, when in all actuality, He was the one fighting and repeated to you, I can't go anymore. I can't do it. I can't. He was giving up repeatedly, and you failed to do your job.
As a matter of fact, right here, we're just going to show you guys a clip of Dana White and what he had to say about this situation.
Apparently, his manager has been terrorizing Sean Shelby that this guy is the guy. This guy's the future of the sport. And finally, Sean said, okay, I'll bring him in. I got a last-minute replacement, and brought him in. And that was his performance tonight.
Do you feel like it's okay for a fighter to essentially tap out in between rounds?
100%. Listen, if you're, man, let me tell you what. In this sport, if you're done, you're done. You should absolutely be able to quit. You know? I know that it's frowned upon, but guess what? Anybody that would talk about you quitting isn't in there fighting. You know? It's real easy to be a critic. What these kids do is a whole nother level, man. I don't, you know, as the guy who runs this organization, as the guy who is involved in the matchmaking and everything else, you know, you see these kids. We deal with managers from all over the world. They're like, oh, this guy's the guy, this guy's the guy. And you get this, when you get here, this is a whole different level, man. And that guy's not ready, and he might not ever be ready. And some of us, and I'm not, I've told you guys this many times before. I believed one day, you know, back in the day that I was a fighter and I wanted to do this and that, and one day I found out that I wasn't. The realization was that I wasn't. And when you find out, you need to walk away, and you need to, I'm not saying that's the case with this kid, but if that kid felt like he needed to quit tonight, who the is anybody to judge him on that? He had the balls to come here and fight and take a short notice fight in the UFC.
Do you feel like when you look at him, so, you know, obviously a lot of people think it looks bad. Do you see that as a guy that could turn it around? I mean, or do you think that's such a mental blow to somebody that it's hard to come back and win a fight after having done that on national television?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but he, you know, he's got to get up tomorrow morning and look at himself in the mirror and figure out who he is and what he wants to do. There is no shame in getting here and finding out that you're not.
Like Emilio said, you know, as the corner man, you're supposed to have your fighter's best interest at heart, because the objective is to go out there, fight your best fight, and go back, train, and come back and fight your best fight again, and constantly fight your best fight.
And Marcus, not for nothing, I'm not picking on the corner man. I'm really not picking on the corner man. That corner man probably every other time, he probably does the right thing. But at that specific moment, you blew it. You blew it. Yeah. You blew it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think that he was a bit excessive, you know, maybe in his mind. And this is just me having empathy and trying to see it from his eyes. Like, maybe he thought, I'm going to push you and you're going to keep going. When, you know, it's clear as day. If you are somebody that trains with this fighter, you're somebody who's with this fighter, you should know his limit. And even self, it's one of those things where the fighter, because the fighter wants to fight and he wants to win. And it's like, no, I want to fight. You're supposed to be able to see, no, I'm throwing this out. No, come back. I can't send you out there, because we're talking about a sport where the wrong hit in the wrong place could knock you down dead, especially.
And Marcus, shout out to Max, because Max actually took that fight on 5 days' notice. He actually took that fight on a short notice. So he actually tried to make something of it, and he just wasn't ready for that. He wasn't ready for that. And he knew he wasn't ready for that, and he tried to get it called. His corner man wasn't listening, trying to big him up, trying to, you know, but it was just a done deal. It was a wrap. You should have just literally just threw in the towel and thought about the well-being of the fighter and keep him moving.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, we're gonna go into some more COVID talk.
I swear, I'm tired of even saying that word. You know what? I saw a couple kids, and when I see kids and they go to take pictures, I don't tell them to sell cheese anymore. I say COVID.
That's not even a smiling word. Say COVID.
Say COVID. That's it.
Yeah. So, the Trailblazers, Trevor Ariza, opting out of NBA restart, commits to visitation with his son. So if Ariza doesn't take this month off to be with his son, this could affect his ongoing battle with the custody battle that he's been going through. So instead of missing out on his time with his son and possibly losing any kind of custody that he's been able to have so far, he's going to sit out for this season. He said to lose maybe 1.8 million. I mean, his full contract is for 12.8. So it's like, hey man, listen, aside from the whole custody battle thing, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, my son is more important, and family always comes first.
Family is always first. We also got Davis Burtons from the Washington Wizards also deciding not to take part in the Orlando tournament that the NBA is having down in Orlando, Marcus Mack. Some guys are going to pull out of this thing regardless of COVID situation. They don't want to risk outbreak or whatever it may be, social injustice, like Kyrie Irving is saying that they shouldn't even play or whatever it may be. Listen, that's totally understandable. Guys can do what they want. But this season is going to go on in some way, shape, or form with or without you. That's it. You're basically going to get a pass. Normally, if you don't show up, you're getting suspended, you're getting fined, you're getting whatever it may be. This time around, they're probably going to sit there and say, look, if you don't want to come, it's cool. You ain't going to get paid anyway, so it doesn't matter to us. You know what I mean? We'll be here for you when you want to come back. We'll welcome you with open arms. But if you don't want to show up, that's fine.
All right, so Orlando Pride pulls out of the NWSL Cup after 10 positive coronavirus tests.
6 players and 4 staff members for the Orlando Pride. For those guys that don't know, viewers that are listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, the NWSL was supposed to have a college-style tournament up in Salt Lake City, Utah. The Orlando Pride was supposed to play the Chicago Red Stars, and then 6 Orlando Pride players tested positive and 4 staff members, which then the Orlando Pride released a statement pulling the team 5 days before their first game. This is very, very sad, Marcus Mack. I mean, we want to see sports actually get back and start to play, but people's well-being, their health, their families, that's so much more important than anything else, Marcus. And when you got this many players affected on one team, I mean, there's probably like maybe between 18 to 22 girls on a roster, plus the staff, plus the coaching staff, or whatever it may be. You can't risk it.
Yeah, definitely can't, man. Big shout outs to them for taking the initiative. They're gonna be quarantined for 14 days, and they're gonna be receiving medical attention, and a close eye will be kept on them. So our prayers go out to the entire Pride team, Orlando Pride team.
I mean, they need it more than anything else, Marcus Mack. I mean, some of these women, shout out to the WNBA, they're actually playing. They're gonna resume their season down at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. They're literally getting 100% of their money, even though the season has been shortened because of COVID-19. So shout out to the WNBA for doing the right thing and backing the players. So some sports are trying to get going. You got that. You got Major League Soccer that's gonna get going. You got basketball that's going to get going. Hopefully the MLB can figure out their sugar honey iced tea. You got so many other sports trying to make it happen, Marcus Mack. But we spoke about MLB and what's going on with them. We spoke about the coronavirus and how it affected basketball, and now how it's affecting the NWSL and the Orlando Pride specifically. But now we're going to speak about a subject and a man that got a really, really, really big bag today, Marcus.
Huge bag. So Dak Prescott signed his franchise tender on Monday, today. According to USA Today, the 26-year-old Prescott will make $31.4 million. That's from,
Say that again? Say that again?
$31.4 million, and that's just for 1 year.
Now say that if it was a lotto ticket. Like say it if it was a lotto ticket.
According to sources, Dak Prescott has signed a franchise deal for $31.4 million. And that's for 1 year for 2020.
Yo, listen to me, Marcus Mack. Hey. Dak Prescott is doing the 50 cents I get money dance right now.
Big shout outs to America's team.
No state tax in Texas neither.
where's Cameron when you need him?
Oh my God, America's team. Listen, Dak Prescott is smart. He didn't make the big deal, Marcus Mack, when he was young. You could pull it up later on if you want after the show is over. He got, drafted really late, so he didn't make that big money as a starting quarterback from when he was playing. This is his big deal. This is his first big deal. And he's trying to make sure that coming up, being the quarterback of, quote unquote, in quotations, America's team, he wants to stretch that money out as much as possible. So he wants shorter years with big money so he can get more contracts because he didn't get the contracts in the beginning. So instead of being locked up for a 5-year deal, he wants a 4-year deal. So then by that, going into that 4th year, he knows either you got to give me an extension or I'm going somewhere else. So Dak is smart. Dak is not being dumb. His representatives are being really, really smart. If you think about it, Marcus Mack, just for the record, let's say you wanted Dak Prescott to sign a $114 million deal, a 5-year deal for $114 million right now, right?
Right.
He just got $31 million for 1 year.
Right.
So why would you sign a 5-year deal for $114 million when you got $31 million in 1 year?
Yeah. Well, when I kind of do the math there, you said what, 114 million?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you why this is definitely more beneficial, because I agree with you. This is more beneficial because you won't be, like you said, you won't be locked up for them 4 years, right? And the other deal, you get pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that you're locked in. And in NFL, one injury, one anything, you get the wrong mosquito bite in the wrong place. Instantly, what you're worth goes down.
Listen, Marcus, go get the toilet paper out of your bathroom, bring it, and write Dak Prescott's name and write 31 million guaranteed, and everything you write after that, that's exactly what the toilet paper is. It's just toilet paper.
Yeah, that's a fact. Big shout outs to him, his agency, and this big deal that they just closed, man. Much blessings to him.
Hey, Marcus, just a reminder for all the viewers and the listeners, we're going to have Boston Red Sox pitcher on tomorrow, Michael Schwerin. He's going to be on with us. And yo, listen, just not for the record, I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but he might wear his Paper Planes hat because he is representative by Rock Nation Sports.
Right.
So just letting you know, The Rock will be in the building next episode.
Definitely, man. So you guys tune in Wednesday and check that out. That's for Wednesday's episode.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.